What's up? My name's Glueboy. Welcome back to the channel, and we've done it. We've covered every single Chaos God. So, it's finally time to cover the opposite, the main opponent of all the Chaos Gods, the Emperor of Mankind, renowned and most important character and figure in Warhammer 40k, the god of the Imperium, the worst dad in fiction. There's a lot, and I'm going to do my best to make sure this doesn't get too crazy, but I'm also warning you now, this is part one. Part two will come later, because I actually have to split all the information we have to make this not hour-long video. And this is for a good reason. The Emperor is a very complicated figure in Warhammer. He is so important and is really inconsistent with some characterization because a lot of different writers tackle him. He's immensely important, and he has to be that figure that you're kind of like separated from. You don't really see active a lot. He's just a thing that's referenced all the time. So there's a lot of information, and I did my best to parse through it. So we're just gonna go into it and talk about it. So first things first, where did the Emperor come from? What caused him? Because the Emperor of Mankind is the perfect human who has ever existed. That's not even Imperium propaganda or anything like that. I'm not simping over this character. The Emperor is the embodiment of what humanity can possibly become. He is the smartest dude, the most powerful psyker, an immensely powerful warrior, and built to lead humanity as its ruler, like almost like from design. So where does he come from? And we don't know at all. There are theories. Say, for example, the theory that he is either one of the old ones, you know, from the War in Heaven, frogmen, the Necrons and the Catan beefed with, or he was created by the old ones as like a last resort deal with the Catan, because the old ones did create humanity. Then there's the other one, the one that's kind of sent out a lot. It's used in a lot of discussions. It's one I personally ascribe to. I think it's a really fun origin for him. There's a theory that the Emperor of Man came from a shamanistic ritual way back in the day of Earth history, where a bunch of really potent psyker shamans got together, did a ritualistic suicide to create a super being that would be born because the warp was getting real fucky and real bad. So they wanted to create a person who could help deal with some of that issues. Because, you know, psychers had this problem of you cast a cool spell and a demon could pop out of your brain. Build a person that can deal with that threat. And then later the Emperor was born by human parents, and whoa, he's embodied by all these shaman souls, which I like because it encompasses the problem that Big E has, where his characterization's a little inconsistent, and you can justify it with, yeah, but he's got a bunch of shaman souls screaming in his head telling him what he should be doing at that moment. I like that characterization. That's the one I ascribe to. However, unconfirmed, and basically what we have is the Emperor is a perpetual, which means, for those who don't know, a perpetual is a person who is part of the human subgroup Homo Superior, where they're literally immortal. They cannot die, and they have like a set number of deaths that they can get, where if you like stab and kill a perpetual, he'll just come back, like pop up, like, oh, I just regen. But there's like a set number. So you can be a perpetual with literally one do-over or billions. And that's Big E. He was very potently psychic, and he was actually born a long-ass time ago. Because the Emperor, as a child, was part of the Hittite Empire. Yo, Editing Glueboy here. I was about to be wrong about history on the internet, and I don't want to piss off history nerds. So, to the best of my ability, I'm going to try to describe what I was going to say here. So, the Emperor of Mankind was born into the Hittite Empire, and the Hittite Empire, like the actual one that's called the Hittites, were really founded around 1600 BCE. So I feel like it's pretty safe to put the Emperor around that aspect, because it very clearly in the book Master of Mankind feels like he's talking about really early stages of civilization, as well when he talks about Mesopotamia, the cradle of civilization, being like right around the corner. And there's another part that he mentions where he name drops the Sakarya River, and basing it off of maps of the area, the maps of Turkey where that empire was. I think you could place him around Ankara, or at least near that on the map, because the main problem, that main whole big element of the map, is actually not touched by the Sakarya River. That part that is circled is the river, the rough layout of the river. If anyone is like more of an expert on this period of history, and specifically this region, feel free to comment, let me know. I'm actually super curious. I personally don't have a lot of experience with this time period of history. I focus more on Egypt, honestly. And the Emperor was pretty strong as a psyker as a kid. There's a scene in the book Master of Mankind where he talks about the first time he realized his goal for humanity, which was a moment he was decorating his father's skull. He just died, and according to the customs of where he grew up, he needed to decorate it with, you know, seashells, some like rocks, some bones, stuff like that. And he touched the wound on his father's skull and had a psychic vision of how it happened. His father's uncle stabbed him with a bronze knife. So he walked over holding his father's skull and gave him a psychically induced heart attack. And in that moment realized humanity needs a master, it needs order, it needs law, because this is what fucking happens. But yeah, the Emperor then would set out on his journey to become the master of mankind, to take over humanity and lead it into its great future. And he started to do all this from the shadows. He would lead humanity from kind of this back view, slowly giving humanity guides of like, ooh, maybe here's some fun tech you could do, here's some laws you could implement, and otherwise just randomly inhabiting and being prominent historical figures. Like, he was Alexander the Great. He did all of Alexander's stuff. He wept tears that there are no more worlds to conquer. He told Horus this in confidence. And also went on some fun, goofy adventures, because he also got to Mars somehow and fought the Dragon of Mars, which is most likely, it's not confirmed, the shard of the Catan Void Dragon, which fucks with tech. And I wonder if there's a faction of weird tech-obsessed weirdos who have a really strange view of tech because it malfunctions around them. And as well, he would gather together other perpetuals under the banner of his ideals, because these perpetuals that he all found really resonated with his ideas of leading humanity, helping humanity evolve further into what it could become, like more perpetuals, like the Emperor. And as well, he also led the ideas of the Imperial Truth, because the Emperor had some problems with religion and really wanted to promote science, logic, and reason. And I think there are multiple viewings of this. I see some takes of why he actually did this. I think it's a mix. I think the first one is the obvious reason of, in the Emperor's eyes, smartest man who understands the 40k universe, he logically knows that these gods they're worshipping aren't fucking real. We know the cosmology of 40k. We got the Chaos gods, we got Gork and Mork, we got the Eldar gods and the Catan, which are gods technically. Like, we understand the powers that be, so he can logically be like, that just isn't true. And also, growing up on Earth for like almost his entire like civilizational history, he sees the thing religion does. Holy wars, horrific acts in its name, or even other less charitable views for the Emperor, in that having religion could give another form of order and rule that undermines his authority. The other reason is because worship in any form feeds the Chaos gods, which he obviously doesn't want fed. He has some reasons of doing this. He wants the Chaos gods fucking out of here because they are the biggest threat to humanity. Humanity is their favorite snack. So, good reason to deal with it. Also, extra fun, the Emperor went to a little place called Moloch, entered a warp gate, and made a deal directly with the 4 Chaos gods to give him the power to become the Emperor. In exchange, he was supposed to make humanity chaos aligned. Guess what he didn't do? Follow those orders. He betrayed the Chaos gods and then was just planning on, all right, yeah, they're gonna come at me for breaking this deal, but they can't come at me for this deal if I fucking kill them. As well, like I said, he gathered a lot of perpetuals under his name. There are 3 prominent ones that I will bring up. The first one is Erda, the mother of the Primarchs, the person who basically helped the Primarchs exist and then was the reason for their scattering. Erda is a character I see a lot of hate for, and to be honest, I understand why she fucking did this. She hung out with the Emperor and decided, oh man, this guy's pretty cool, he's pretty smart. Oh, he's making a bunch of like kids? All right, dope. And then you start learning from this guy where he's like, I'm making a kid project. Also, best part, I'm not gonna treat them like kids. They're my tools and weapons I'm gonna use to take over the galaxy. I can't wait to have these 20 living weapons. And Erda was like, this is fucked up. This is a weird way to treat them. Also, he used my DNA to make them. I feel responsible. And so she made some efforts to, you know, undermine this and free the Primarchs, and in reality, she got tricked by the Chaos Gods and got them all scattered. Something of which is interesting. He was very fucking pissed that she did this, obviously, but he made no efforts to actually hunt her down and, like, enact revenge or justice. He just kind of let her be. So I guess good on the Emperor for restraint. And then we got another fun one, Alanius Pearson, who is probably the oldest perpetual, because he was born in like 15,000 BCE, and he's essentially been part of every major world war. The Gulf War, World War I, Napoleonic Wars, a bunch of Greek wars, stuff like that. And he was also the first war master. Pretty big deal. Horus is the other main war master we know of. And good old Alanius here had his falling out with the Emperor because the Emperor and him led an attack against some Chaos worshippers on Earth. And eventually they won, had this big old tower full of eldritch lore and chaos knowledge, and Alanius was like, we should destroy this. We should blow it up because this is fucking evil. And the Emperor's like, nah, I think I could use this. And he's like, no the fuck you're not. And so he stabbed the Emperor and blew up the tower anyways. And another perpetual left his side. And then we have the one who didn't leave his side. Fucking Malkador the Sigillite. The man. The dude who is like the sketchiest guy ever. Literally created the Inquisition, the Assassin Orders, is the guy in the shadows behind the Emperor, is also the only guy the Emperor actually was like friends with. Which I feel like if your only friend in this world is essentially a more restrained Emperor Palpatine, I don't know if that says great things about you, man. But now the Emperor was in his current state. He was immensely powerful, the Emperor that we all know. He lost basically all but one of his perpetual allies. There were more than the 3 I named, a good amount more, but they all left because the Emperor is very, very up his own ass. The man has lofty goals, he doesn't care who he steps on to achieve them, and believes he knows all. There's a great book and a great story. It's The Last Church by Graham McNeil. I fucking love the short story. It's probably my favorite Warhammer story ever. He is talking to the final priest as a dialogue of, I've destroyed every religion on Terra. You are the last, I want to talk to you. And a lot of the Emperor's points are really fucking bad. And I think that's the point of the story, because the Emperor is largely arguing from the perspective of, I'm right because I know I'm right. He never gives actual logical answers to things. And I think that's the point of the Emperor that's really fun. He's a character that is genuinely the smartest man in the setting. As smart as you are in this world. You can't just have your circular argument be, I'm right because I'm right. Like, logically he is, but yeah. Anyways, I want to go into that before I talk about, you know, the rest of that history. Who actually is the Emperor? Like, who the fuck is he? What does he look like? What's his name? What is all that? We don't know. We don't know the Emperor's name. He's never revealed it. We also don't know what he fucking looks like, because this image right here, that's not his real image. It's not what he looks like. Because the Emperor has this like ongoing psychic field of changing his appearance, and also this appearance changing thing of whoever's looking at him will see what they think the Emperor would look like and what they'd respect. So every character has a different understanding of who he is. Lehman Ross saw a great warrior covered in furs, adorned in trophies, a Viking. Lionel Johnson saw a hooded man in green battle plate. He saw a fucking Dark Angel. Obviously, he wouldn't be a fucking Dark Angel. Corvus Corax saw a very unassuming man, a very normal-looking man, but with eyes wise and kind beyond his years. And many, many more. Belisarius Cawl saw a great scientist in a lab coat. The only ones who might have like the actual look in the Emperor are Blanks and the Sisters of Silence, because they null out psychic abilities. So when they look at him, they see a tired old man. And even worse, when they see him on the Golden Throne, they see a worn out, ageless face, a face racked in pain, in a silent scream of pure agony. Horrific. And then, yeah, we have the main form we all see. This is a form he specifically made to inspire the Primarchs and to inspire the populace and the soldiers to fight better. He also fucking hates this form, because obviously a man who hates religion, looking like a god, he has problems with it. He was self-aware. He told Malcador on multiple occasions, I hate this. All I want to do is go back to Terra during this Great Crusade. I just want to go back and get rid of this. I just want to not have to be this persona. And now we get to the story you've probably heard thousands of times. I'm not going to spend that long going over it. You've heard the story of the reunification wars and all that. To cut it short, the Emperor made his Proto-Astartes the Thunder Warriors in an effort to take over Terra. It was currently an irradiated Mad Max hellscape full of techno-barbarians and weird preachers worshipping a cool rock that got lightning striked, stuff like that. He took it over with his Thunder Warriors, dudes that are essentially orc space marines. They're just pure brutes of violence that like violence. He took over Terra, reunified everything, banded humanity together, and then probably killed all the Thunder Warriors. Because, good job, guys, you took over my planet. By the way, here's your replacements, the actual Space Marines. They're a bit less, you know, crazy and weird, and they're just gonna start shooting you. He massacred all the Thunder Warriors. He then would go out and start his projects. Firstly, he took over Luna, which had a bunch of gene labs and stuff on it, took that over pretty quickly. He also took over Mars. Not in a war fashion, he landed on the planet. A lot of them assumed, oh my god, it's the Omnissiah. It's the Jesus of our machine religion. And he came down and was like, hey, what's up, Mechanicus? By the way, either you make me cool shit, or I will make you make me cool shit. And obviously, the Mechanicus said yes, because there wasn't really a choice there. Something that would later lead to the Schism of Mars and the Dark Mechanicum and a lot of horse shit during the Horus Heresy. But he took all that over, he was ready to start the Great Crusade, and then Erda, you know, scattered all the Primarchs. To where now the Great Crusade was also gathering humanity up, finding the lost planets that were separated during the Dark Age of humanity. When Slaanesh was born, all these human colonies were cut off from each other, and a lot of them fucking died, but for 10,000 years they were alone in space with no chances to get resources or communication with other planets. He wanted to go and reconquer them, and also now had to go and find all 20 of his Primarchs, where he would approach his Primarch sons with varying levels of parentage. Either, finally I found my sweet baby boy, look at him, he's taken over an entire sector of space. I'm so proud to, like, just being upset at, like, Mortarion or Lorgar's existence. Anyways, I'm gonna cut it off there for the Great Crusade. Next video, we're gonna talk about the Great Crusade and the Horus Heresy and more fun facts about the Emperor. But yeah, stay tuned. So if you like this, like, comment, subscribe, do that stuff, and see ya.